Hello everyone, this is Kyle from Pixelwave. Today we're going to talk about advanced procedural materials. So what is an advanced procedural material, or what's just a procedural material in general? It's a material that we can create within Max and Vray using nodes from both to create a material that can be swapped between objects. It's not tied to the object's UVs like custom UV sets. The opposite of a procedural material would be if I took this candlestick here and we UV'd it and ended up shooting it over to Substance Painter, doing some cool stuff, putting the materials on it. I can't then take that material and put it on another object because those the material itself was created uniquely for this object and its UVs. Again, back the opposite, procedurally, I can create one material, slap it on anything, and I don't have to worry about custom UV sets. So basically ends up speeding up workflows. We can create a material library with procedural materials, slap it on anything, on any project, boom, you've got copper, metal, glass, things of that nature. One thing I do want to clarify, procedural materials use only nodes within 3DsMax. This was back in the day before we had a lot of maps and ways to integrate outside things like textures and grunge maps. And we had to do them procedurally within Max. I didn't have to, but we did. Now we've got grunge maps and other things. We don't have to 100% use everything hardcore. And it's like, technically, if you use a map, it's not procedural. It's this hybrid. So as we work, we're going to use a ton of nodes within Max. We're also going to use some grunge maps to break things up. Technically speaking, using a grunge map outside of Max isn't procedural. It's more of a hybrid because we're not using a grunge node, let's say, within Max. We're using a map. So for those of you who, technically speaking, whatever, buzz off. So look I grabbed a bunch, or let me first say, we're going to make copper today. This guy. This is procedural. I can take this, slap this on anything in another scene, and it'll have a ton of detail like this. We'll get, dirt within the bottom, little fingerprints, little scratches, this anastrophe that's going on. It's this cool material. Once we create this once, we don't need to go back and be creating it every time. Hence why it's nice to have like a little material library we set up with some of these procedural textures. We can just slap on things and keep moving. So I grabbed a bunch of grunge maps here. There's one guy, and I think I got rid of the tab. I'll throw it down in the description. He's got a pack of something like 40. Actually, I'll put it on the screen here. He's got something like 40 or 50 4K texture maps, grunges, scratches, fingerprints. Look at this. I use the heck out of this guy. I like the wipes on something like glass. This is from him. Fingerprints, that's I think where that one fingerprint comes in on that copper texture I showed you. So tons of things to cause breakup. We need to be breaking up color, diffuse, reflection, glossiness, the surface with like bump maps, breakup. That's what's going to help something look realistic and not look CG. Because within CG, everything just looks too clean. It looks too perfect. We'll kind of poke at that a little bit as we go through. I'll show you guys kind of what I mean by it looks too clean. So let's jump right in. First things first, we're going to use what's called a Vray blend node. So I'm going to say get material. Under the Vray tab, we're going to say Vray blend. This is kind of like a Photoshop layer stacking kind of deal where we have our base copper, and then we can do dust, we can do patina, we can do dirt. You just keep kind of stacking, which is really cool. We'll cover this more once we end up kind of creating dirt and things. Let's just jump right into our base material. And actually, let's name our stuff as we go. Copper, I won't say base, we'll just leave it copper and we'll name this copper base. So under base material, we're going to click this. We're going to pipe in just a regular Vray material in this. We went over all these parameters in my other video. I'll try to put a link on the screen or in the description to that. But for copper, we're doing metal. This needs to be black. So instantly, bam. And let's look at a preview here. We do reflect. So the color of a metal comes through in the reflect color. So if I just grab something that's kind of copper-esque, actually saturation will turn down a bit. Okay, still doesn't look like metal. I like to turn this background checkerboard on so we can kind of see reflections in the sample. And then next thing, let's do 0.9. We're going to break this up, but I'm just trying to get closer to copper. Fresnel IOR, I'm going to unlock and do 20. Gets us that real reflective metal look. So the higher this is, the more reflective it is. If I do 5, yeah, it's kind of reflective. 10. So to your liking, to your taste, actually to your reference, if you have a reference you're working with, we should always be working with references. I'm using off to the side my little ball as a reference. So yeah, if you don't have, actually, I can give this to you guys. And I can give you some grunge maps too, just in case you don't want to purchase that pack. Something else to work on. I'll just think of more stuff. I just want to give you guys stuff you guys can play with. Okay, so using mine as a reference, grab a reference if you don't have one. So let's start breaking up. Like, this looks cool. Doesn't look bad, right? It just looks clean, untouched, which is kind of CG looking, right? There's no smudges, there's no scratches, there's no nothing. So first thing I want to break up is glossiness. We're going to do that with a composite node. A composite node's like a V-Ray blend material, but with maps. So again, this Photoshop feel. So if I click on this little box here, under the standard, not the V-Ray, under standard, we're going to go to composite. So this allows us to stack a bunch of different textures. We can do blend modes. We'll get more into this as we're using it. Just powerful. Stack, stack, break up, just tons of random maps, colors, whatever. First thing I need to do is we just overrode the 0.9 by tossing this node in here, but we have no information. There's no color or anything. So I need to get back to the 0.9 as our base. So if I go to texture, we're going to use a V-Ray color node. Now, as explained kind of in the other video, glossy is a 0 to 1 value. It's a 0 being black, 1 being white. The closer we get to white or 1, the more reflective and mirror-like it is. The closer we get to black or 0, the more matte, as we can see, this kind of looks. So I'm going to get closer to white, gets us back to that 0.9. Now let's start layering stuff on top of this. How we get to a new layer is up here. Boom, click that. Gives us a little node to work with. Let's go ahead and grab my textures. First one I love is just this dude. Again, wipes. It's just simple. It breaks it up really easily. If I click and drag that over or pipe that in, it gives us a white map. Look at that. I love that. Like right out of the gate. That's looking cool. It's looking like, if there was at a mall, some guy was wiping it, kids are messing with it and the guy goes and wipes it. It looks nice the next day, janitor or something. One thing though is if we can't leave this at normal, this is overriding, when it's at normal, it's overriding what's below it, though it does look pretty good on its own. I'll just show you guys if I do something like darken, this is going to blend with the map below it. Don't really see a difference, which is cool again, because if I left it at normal, it would block this. So if I wanted to go and change this later to something like that, right? And if this was on normal, it wouldn't do that. So let me show you. That's on normal. If I go back down, change that. Yeah, see? So want to blend a certain node just in case. I mean, if it looked fine, you can leave it and leave that control. But let's say darken again. And then let's use opacity. I can say like 50%. This is just kind of an overall opacity. We could also use a mask. So I can punch a grunge in here and it would punch out some of the wipiness of it. Let me show you that. Yes, wipiness. Wipiness is a word. Google it. It's not a word. Let's pipe this in. So the blacks and whites in this map, black is not going to show up, white is going to show up, is killing this white texture. So something to play with. I don't like that, so I'm going to back out of that. Right click, we'll say clear. I kind of liked just turning this down a little. And let's add our thumbprints. So this is part of this pack that the guy had. I'll put a link to these fingerprints. So again, black is going to be smudgy, not mirror-like. White's going to be mirror-like. Let's actually use this one. I've got an example I want to show you guys of something else. So we add another layer, right? If I go back, hey, there we go. Fingerprints. Now, let's say you have a map like this. Again, black is smudgy. We want the fingerprints to be smudgy, not the rest of the map. We can invert this in 3ds Max without having to use something like Photoshop to do it outside. So cam that. let's drag this over to our map. We need to change the blend mode, see, because it just is now only working on this. It's blocking everything below. And we're going to say a multiply. But again, this is going to multiply everything below it with all this black. We need to invert this. So if I go back into my texture and I say output, we're going to say invert down here. La! Look at that. That's cool. So if I go show end result, click this guy, this shows us this map. But if I go back, it shows us the end result of everything stacked. So we can just keep going nuts with this. We can overload this. We can see the effect of a certain map by clicking hide this layer. So if I click this off, so it's hiding that, the smudges or fingerprints go away. Turn it back on. Ah, that's cool, man. This is killer. Let me show you something else too. Let's say I want this black to be more black. Now I haven't looked at the effects of it, but let's just say it's not black enough. Go back into texture map, go back down into output, and we're going to turn on enable color map. We don't see anything yet because this curve hasn't changed. Now we can do a couple things. I can just let's see, click in the center here, and we'll right click and say Bezier smooth, because I don't think I can do Beziers on those. And what I want is the black to be more black. So if I move this around, see how it's getting more black? So again, the blacker it is, the more rough it is. So let's go back out of this. And then let's turn this off and we can see the fingerprints. We'll back in and play with that this way. So let's say, I'm just gonna go crazy with it so you guys can see how that affects that. And the lighter we get, the more they disappear because it's in a multiply or darken blend mode, right? So something like that's kind of cool. Maybe a little much. Maybe if I go crazy with it and then we can pull it out, some of it out with the opacity up here. So let's do 50. Yeah. So break up, break up, break up, break up, break up. We could just do this all day. I'm okay with this. I'm happy with this for now. I want to go ahead and turn this down slightly, looking at my reference on the other. So that's looking kind of cool. Let's add some anastrophe onto this guy. Down here, 0.4. So there you go. Maybe it's a little much. I just kind of want to warp this highlight a little bit so it's looking slightly more brushed to some extent. And if you want, we could do something rotation like 30, kick it sideways. That's kind of cool. That's just more of an artistic thing. I'm sure certain materials are going to have a certain pull to them, I would say. Yeah, but that's cool. Okay, what else can I show you guys? Breakup, more breakup. Maps. Let's throw something in the bump. Break up the surface. I want a scratch map. Let me grab a scratch map. I don't have one here. Sorry, I'll be quick so I'm not wasting your guys' time. Here. If I go, where? Nope. Be right back. Thanks for being patient, you guys. Okay, so here's this map. Scratches. Again, with a bump map, same thing. It's 0 to 1, black being no bump, white being pushed up kind of deal. So we're going to use this just to kind of scratch things up. So I'm going to grab this guy and we're going to pipe it into bump. Let's see what we get. Oh, that looks terrible. Let's say 2. Okay, there you go. Now, to be honest with you, I don't care for the map. I don't care for how strong this is or how long this is per se. We can tile this to see if we can get the scratches smaller, depending on the map. They just might be too big altogether. Let me just turn this up to 5. Like, I don't want a lot of scratches. I just want 1 or 2 here or there. So, yeah. If you guys like it or not, keep it. Again, break up, break up, break up, break up. What else can we break up with more nodes? I want to use a node. Let's use a noise node on the color to break color up. And I'll show you something else too. Let's, how do we want to do this? Let's go to this material here. Now, let me first say this. If I pipe a noise node in here, it shows us in the material, right? And then if I click this show end result, it shows us here. there's no scale here. I don't know, I don't know if the candlestick takes up from the bottom to the top. I don't know if the candlestick is only in this white part, so it's not going to affect this entire thing. Even in the viewport, like if we were to, let's say, reduce the size to 50, oops, okay, yeah, I'll show you. The viewport lies to you, basically. This lies to you. All lies. All lies. We need to apply this to the object itself, do IPR, and make the adjustments in that. So how do we do that? I don't want to ruin what we have working here. So I create another material. So we'll go to another slot, say standard. We'll go to Vray material. I'm going to take this, copy this noise node, and I'm going to instance it into diffuse. Why did I say instance? Any changes I want here, I want to make on my copper node that we already have. I don't want to have to copy it back, right? So if I apply this, again, we should be able to see this noise map in here. I just think it's so big that like you can't see it. So if I go to IPR, let's see, we'll start this up. So you can kind of see it, right? You don't see this, like here, it lies. So if I go back into this map, we'll say 25. I just kind of want, yeah, like just break up. Maybe that's too small. 30, 40. I don't want it to be like too noticeable. So yeah, little darks, right? This is kind of cool. What we're going to do is we're going to pipe one copper color in the white, one copper color in the black. You can do other things with this map like fractal. Let me show you this. It's more, if I go to regular, let's see. Yeah, this is kind of more blurred. Fractal is more bumpy. I guess there's more texture detail. Turbulence looks like alien-esque. Like this would be a cool bump to put on something organic, like gory per se. We don't want that. Fractal, I think, is too much detail. One thing too we can show, this is the whites, this is the blacks. If I turn this down, the whites get brighter. If I turn this up, the darks get darker. It's kind of not very intuitive, but I'm going to leave these there. Levels with fractal is how much detail there is. So if I go to 1, it kind of looks like regular, right? But if I go to 2, we're going to get kind of more detail, 3, more detail. And then phase, you can animate. It'll kind of warp or change the fractal altogether. Like if you wanted this going over a surface, you would animate that over and you'd see it kind of float over. So we'll leave all that, leave all that. And if I go back, this is looking cool. So again, what I want to do is I want to pipe one reflection color in black, one reflection color in white, but they're going to be copper colors. So then we get a breakup of that. So if I go back to this material, since we instance it, everything moved over. Let's go back. Now this map is overriding this color. So if I copy this, I'm going to paste it in both, but I'm going to make one slightly darker. Again, breakup, right? So let's go a little darker than that. And actually, yeah, you can see it. You can see it happening here since this material is still applied. So if I stop that and we actually go to, let's actually look at our copper. So this is copper base. If I apply this, let's see how it's rendering. There you go. So see this? See this subtle detail? See these wipes? Like that's killer. I think we need more fingerprints, and I think we need to not go so crazy on the darkness of this. So if I turn this up a little and I turn this up a little, and two, it's looking a little saturated, so let's desaturate it a bit. Desaturate this guy. There we go. Let's get more fingerprints in there. Fingerprints are in glossy under the composite node that we have, right? Fingerprints are in here. Let's do 80. Let's see if those come through a little better. Oh wait, that's scratches. No, that's fingerprints. Okay. Let's turn this up 60. Let's do 80. Screw it. Cool. So you notice kind of how slow this is to render? Just wait till we keep stacking. It's going to get a little render intensive. Okay, that's cool. But I'm not done yet. Let's do dust. So back out of this. we broke this up pretty hardcore. I think it's looking cool. Let's just keep moving on. So again, this is like a Photoshop layer. If I add more materials in here, it's just going to keep stacking. So let's go in and we'll add a new material. Now it's going to see how it's covering it up. We're going to say dust. And let's make this kind of brownish, so it's not just gray. Now, to control this, there is this color here that we can just say we want none of it being black. We want all of it being white, right? We can also control this with nodes or maps. Either can be piped in here. Again, maps are quote unquote cheating. I don't find them cheating. But so let's just do a node first. And then this controls how much of that node is coming through. So I'm going to use a Vray dirt node. Vray dirt. And let's go ahead and do what we did with the noise, where I'm going to copy this and I'm going to stop this and we'll paste it into paste instance into this material so we can see what the heck's going on. And it'll be quicker to update because we don't have the full blended material in here. So what Vray dirt does is it adds, it's an AO, an ambient occlusion. It adds black in the included areas, which would be these kind of rings or close, tight areas, and then it puts white in everything else. Because we're using this as an alpha, I want white where the cracks are, not the inverse or reverse like we have now. So I can take this, we click and hold on black, drag to white, we say swap. Now we have the inverse. Now we're getting white in the cracks. This is cool. This is exactly what we want. Radius is just how far this is going to travel. If I go something crazy like a foot. That's just too much. Let's say 8 because that doesn't help show you. So see how this is kind of, it's going out or off of the included areas and it's blending in like this. It's traveling so far at this point that it's kind of getting lost. If I go the opposite, say 1 inch, there you go. Get something like that. Like that's looking cool. Subdivisions. Let's go ahead and turn this to like 8/16. This is going to help give subdivisions in the node so that AA during rendering doesn't have to filter this map. And it's better to do in Vray subdivisions than it is. It's faster to render, I will say, because better is subjective. It's faster to render when you add more subdivisions in the map than it is to let AA try to smooth that out during rendering time. What else can I show you guys? Fall off. It's kind of clamp some of this stuff. Distribution, I think this just kicks up more. No, it's the opposite. So let's leave this at 0. Yeah, let's do like a -2. Let's get this back to 0. So actually, I was kind of liking that. Let's do something like that. And let's do a -1. Okay, so pushing and pulling some of this stuff. What else? Okay, breakup. I don't want this just to look smooth. I don't want this smooth gradient. I want to break this up with a grunge map. So more breakup. Let's grab a map here. Shabam. Let's just pick one. We want to pipe this in radius. It can also be piped up here. Same difference. Right? So now we get kind of jagged. And let's do like, what if we did unoccluded? Yeah, that just affects the whole thing. So let's back that out. Okay. So that's looking kind of cool, right? I dig that. So again, the reason we're doing this with the dirt node, white is where the dust is going to be, black is going to be no dust. So to me, that looks cool. Let's go ahead and copy this. Oh, no, it's instanced. Duh. So we have, see, look at all the parameters moved over. So let's reapply this and we'll click render. So see how we start getting, look at that. That's cool. And again, I can slap this on another object and we get dust in the cracks. Like that's awesome. That's cool. Okay. What else can I show you? I want to show you something that's like kind of contrasty. Maybe it's like patina. I don't know if I would like patina on here, but let's just get a little crazy with this. So we'll do that. Let's just crank it. And actually, let's test something real quick. I think this dust is being controlled by this map. So if I turn this off, I don't think it does anything. So like it's still there, right? So that doesn't control that any longer. Now this controls that map. So if I go 0, it controls the alpha map, I should say. So we can blend between, like if I turn this black, so if that's black, we're not seeing any. If I start introducing this map, we see some of it coming up. I got it where I liked it. Okay, cool. Let me show you another node before I continue to patina. So let's say this isn't white enough. It's not enough contrast. I want more. I want to push it. Let me show you how I can do that. So if I go back into my dirt, let's name this dust alpha AL, if I can flip and spell. Okay. I want to add a node between this. So before the dust that I can color correct this map. So actually let's do this in here. If I go into dirt and I want to add a node before this that'll affect this, I'm going to click on this. We're going to go to standard. This is the color correct node. Just like Photoshop, it's like a hue saturation kind of layer. We can do contrast, we can do hue, we can do saturation, brightness. So we want to keep the sub map because we want to play with this. We don't want to discard it because we want to keep that dirt map in here. And then I want to see if I can get the whites whiter to get more of this dust to come through. So I applied our test material to see this in the viewport. There's that. If I go brightness a little, it gets everything, but then if I turn contrast, it's going to give us a whiter result. That's kind of cool. So up, push that a little more. Okay, cool. So did the color correction node come over? That is the question. Yeah, there you go. Again, because we instanced it, right? So let's plop our V-Ray blend material back on, heat render, or IPR. If you guys notice too, the V-Ray dirt map doesn't show up during GI calculations. It only will show up or start calculating at time of render. So if you're making adjustments and you're just using the light cache to look at things, it's not going to pop up. What else can we add? Let's add some just like dark grunge, just using a map rather than a node. Oh, let's use a V-Ray curvature node. Okay, now I'm all excited. Let's turn this to black. Actually, I'm going to turn it to red, just so you can see what this is doing. And you know what? I back that up all together. Let's use our test material to see how this is a curvature map works. So I'm going to clear this. We cleared it. We don't want to change that because it's, remember, that was instance. So we'll clear it. We'll go down to V-Ray, not a standard node. Curvature, spam. All right. Let's again turn subdivisions up to help AA a little bit. We'll apply this entire material to this guy. We'll hit our IPR so we can see what it's doing. So this controls node is attracted to corners. Problem with this is maybe not the greatest examples because everything's curvature, everything's corners. So maybe not the best map, but let's start playing with some of this. Minimum color and maximum color. So if I turn this to 1, the whole thing's going to be white because the minimum color is white. Don't want that. Maximum color, oops, the spread was 1. Maximum color, 1. Let's do like 5. Oops, 5, not 0.5. And I want to try to get the black part on all the rounded edges so we can create like it's been bumped or handled, right? You're going to get rubbing happening on everything that is corners. Sample spread, I think I did like 0.5. If I start pulling this down, we're going to notice it's going to be more and more attracted to the curves. And then scale, if I move this up, I remember, down. It's going to, the spread basically of it, how far it's going to spread. And I noticed something weird with these lines when I was playing with this last time. I don't know what's up with that. So what I did is I got it to kind of where I wanted it. And see, here's a great example. See the edge? It's attracted to the edges. It's like the opposite of, kind of the opposite of a V-Ray map. However, this is in concave. It affects concave as well as outside curves. I don't know what the other term is for that. I forget it. Okay. So that's that. You know what we could do I could show you this. We could use a V-Ray dirt and a composite to pipe in black in these areas to not affect the dust and just affect the outside. Yeah, let's try that. So we're going to grab, we want to pipe a node before this. So I'm going to grab this and we're going to say a composite node. We're going to keep the old map because I want to add to it. We're going to add another map. We're going to add a V-Ray dirt. V-Ray dirt map. And we're going to turn this to multiply. So again, what I'm trying to do is get rid of everything that's in corners, right? So let's do just 8 on that. And I need to set this to multiply. What else do I need to do? In this map here, I need to turn up the contrast. So we're going to click on this and we're going to say color correct. We're going to keep the map below it. And I'm going to turn this contrast way up. Yeah, still not doing it, huh? Do I need to invert this? Possibly. Swap. Nope. Okay. Maybe that was a bad idea. Abort! Abort! Or maybe it's not enough. Let's just play with it. See if I can get it to work. So let's copy this onto another material and just see what this is doing. Copy, put this onto this guy. Oops. V-Ray. Paste copy, apply it. Yeah, we'll overwrite it. No, because I don't know what that's overwriting. Let's just say AO test. Okay. So yeah, we're trying to get more black out of this thing, right? So I want the black in the corners. So swap that. Yeah, maybe that's not going to work. 0.5. No. No. Okay. Abort. We tried. Let me stop that. We'll go back to here. I'm just going to clear this. And we'll leave that blank because that's fine. Okay. Cool. So I got our curvature map. Let's go back here and pipe our curvature map in there. Copy. Paste copy. Let's apply this material. And we're going to see the red come through. There you go. Okay. So let's go ahead and clamp this with like color node or color correction node. We're going to keep this and we're going to say brightness. So again, just kind of on the curvature parts, which is kind of cool. And then we can add, we take the red to like black or something. Desaturate it and we'll do something dark so that you get that kind of staining. Cool. Yeah. That's looking pretty cool. Now we could use this to break up, because it is like a perfect, like a ring here. Should we? Should we? Yes. Yes. Kyle says break everything up. I hope that gets like sits in your guys' mind. Okay. So stop this. Let's instance this back over and we'll play with that curvature here. Back out, back out. Grab this, copy it. Paste instance, apply it, because we lost a lot of it. Oh no, that's actually pretty cool. Yep. This is where we run into issues with our UVs. This has already actually been UV. Did I talk about that? I did not. This has UVs on it. This was a model that I sold on or selling on CG Trader with a bunch of other candlesticks and versions. This has UVs baked into it. Let's say you just modeled something fresh. Sorry, it's taking me so long to get to this because you guys are probably working like, it doesn't look great. We need UVs first. So let me click on this. And actually this is on under the modifiers button at the top, under the modifier list. If I type UV, we have UV map down at the bottom. This needs to be UV'd clearly if you want to be messing with textures on this. So I'm going to go cylindrical map. We're going to say cap. I need to do a whole video on UVing anyways. We'll do that in another video. But cap just allows the top and bottom to have textures. If you don't have cap on, cylindrical would just wrap the thing in a cylindrical fashion, but then doesn't apply textures coming from the top and the bottom. And then this is a square map. So if I leave this all tall like this, it's going to stretch my map real tall, which I don't want. So I'm just going to do something like 10, 10, and 10. Let's do 12. Okay. See what this looks like. Now, if you notice, it's going to change the look of this because we have a different UV set on it. But now we no longer get a line that was up here due to a seam. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. And again, if I turn this off, just so you guys can see this, if I turn this off by clicking that, see, it's too uniform. It's too perfect. This could work for something if you like want to apply color to something and you're trying to do it procedurally, but we're not applying color to something. So turn that off, stop that. It's been instanced. So we'll go back and apply our copper material. And this is where our, let's just say dirt alpha. Okay, back out. Cool. So let's check this out. So we're getting black kind of projected in here. Nice. But again, see how it's getting, the render's getting slower and slower and slower to render. But we're getting all this awesome detail. So again, here's a problem with procedurals. Let's say I don't like these dots. I can't just go in and paint those out. You're stuck with them. We can rotate our UV map. Let's see if I can show you that. If I can get this all on the same screen. Yeah. If I click this, I can rotate this map and rotate them out of the view. But then, you know, likelihood or chances are you're going to get something else that's going to pop up. So the downside with procedural is we have less control. However, you get to decide how much control you need in a certain project. But something like this tossed on a handrail or a statue can go a long ways. You don't really need all that control. If it's something kind of in the background, and then you can use something like Substance Painter for all the real hero type images you need, like right up in front of the camera. Great. So one last thing I'll show you is just throwing a map in. I don't think I'm going to like this per se, but let's add another V-Ray material in here, and let's just make it kind of patina colored. And I just want to show you, you can toss a map in here. So if I was to do something like, let's just do something like this. Oops, I'll show you guys. Just took a map, tossed it in there. I don't want to do patina because it's corny, but I'll show you guys. So I guess we don't really need to play with that unless we're using blending. So let's go into this guy. I'm going to turn up the contrast on this. We can either do that through this enable color correction and play with the curve, or we could just do it with a color correct node. So let's do that. So if I go to bitmap, we click here, we're going to pipe behind it to affect it a color correction node, and we'll say keep map because we want to play with it. Turn the contrast up. Oops, there we go. So again, kind of corny. I guess it's not terrible, but you can kind of get that patina look, right? And two, we can do this. We can control this map with something like a curvature map or the AO map. Let's try an AO map. Let's actually use this dust one. Instance that down. You kind of see the difference of that. It's not bad. That's not bad, I guess. But now, just because we instance it, we're overriding the dust, so you can't see the dust any longer. But cool. That's kind of it, you guys. The last thing I'll say, actually, is this additive shellac mode, just in case you guys saw that. That's for when we want to do something like a carbon fiber with a clear coat. We can put the carbon fiber up on the base and then do just a material that has no color information and all just adding reflective information. The additive shellac allows it, this V-Ray blend material to take the reflection information on this and pipe it on top of that. Anything else have I missed? Wait, I forgot to show you the best part. That was that this can be applied to anything and it looks cool. The whole reason we were doing this, man. Okay, let's show you this. So like I stated before, I can take these guys. They have their own UVs. Everything needs UVs in order to map stuff onto it, right? But I can literally just apply this copper material to those and we'll look at our viewport, and bam, we get the cool detail that we had on this guy on these guys. Wow. It's kind of like a smart material in Substance Painter. I know I bring up Substance Painter a lot, don't I? Sorry. But yeah, look at that. Look at this. And it's all random detail. We're not seeing like thumbprint, 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 like repeating. It's taking and reading the models and applying what we need to each model. And every model is going to be different, so this information is going to show up differently. You guys. So my recommendation, sit and just make some of these. Glass, metal, copper, brushed metal, stuff that we use all the time, something, let's say, in architectural visualization, and work with it, like save it. You don't have to create this a million times over. And with procedural textures, you can slap these on anything and get like cool information. It's okay. Cool. That was all I wanted to show you guys. We'll see you in the next one.